Yes, what is up, everybody? Welcome into Pinpointed. What a show I've got lined up right here. We are taking a look at my top 3 teams that aren't really, aren't looked at right now as the top teams in the NFL, but will be in the next 5 years. Let me explain why. Let me start with the third team on this list. I'm a huge fan of this team. I think they've got what it takes in the next couple of years. The Chicago Bears. Or you might say they're 5-10. They won today, 6-10. Why are they in the top 3 of your list? Well, again, this team I think will make the playoffs in the next couple of years. They'll get a new coach. Matt Nagy will be gone. And here is their starting lineup currently. And they've got good things in the offense. Let's take a look at Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields will be a quarterback for the future. I think with the right coach, he's going to be their guy. David Montgomery ranked 24th based on PFF, their grades on these players. He's a top 15 running back, in my opinion. Great out of the backfield, can catch everything you want. So they've got their quarterback and their running back down. They've also got a receiver in Darnell Mooney, 39th in the league, so not really like anything special, but he's not supposed to be their number one guy. And Mooney's excellent speed on the outside, slot receiver, some would say, along with Anthony Miller, although Anthony Miller didn't play much this year at all, if he's on the team even right now. And so Darnell Mooney's a great number 2. And now their issue with Allen Robinson, this is one issue with their team, especially offensively, is Robinson has not panned out, has been injured here and there. The offense just hasn't really been good. I don't know why. Robinson was one of the top receivers in the league, but he's going to be a free agent. And I don't think there's almost 100% certainty he ain't coming back. So the Bears are in need of a wide receiver to help Fields. Mooney's good, but not good enough. So that's number 1. Number 2 is their offensive line is horrible. And by horrible, I mean they rank one of the worst groups in the league. Fields has been pressured and sacked as one of the most quarterbacks in the league. And you can see no offensive line is in top 20 graded in the NFL. And you have 24th and left tackles, actually Peters. This was one of the projected starters, and Jenkins, he didn't play. They had Jason Peters. He's old, will be a free agent, and he was their 24th best lineman in the league. And so Bears have a couple issues here because offensive linemen, not very good, and they need a wide receiver. But if we check their defense, this is where it's so promising. Look at Jalen Johnson. This corner, young stud. He was ranked 40th in the NFL currently as a corner, so pretty damn good, especially with so many corners in the league, especially 2 to 3 per team that start. And he made his huge statement game against the Rams a couple weeks ago when he played and covered Cooper Kupp excellently, and he is their number 1 corner for years to come. They've have an issue with safeties. Eddie Jackson, 63rd ranked, not very good. Tayshaun Gibson, 80th ranked. So that's a little bit of a question mark, but this is where this team has their bread and butter. Look at their D linemen, one of the best, I would say, top 3 D line in the league. Robert Quinn, 20th, best defensive edge rusher in the entire NFL. He should be even ranked higher with this. He's got almost 19 sacks this year, second time in his overall career that he's done that. And then you've got Eddie Goldman, a top round pick a couple of years ago. He's been really good. Akeem Hicks, one of the best run stoppers in the NFL. He's going to be a free agent, but he's a little older, 34, 35. So it might be worth for them to bring him back for a year or 2 if the deal is decent enough and not too expensive. And you've got Khalil Mack. He was ranked 24th this year, but was injured for half the year after a couple weeks ago, I believe he had a leg injury. And he's going to be back, still pretty young, not really past his prime yet. So you've got Quinn and Mack on the edges if you bring back Akeem Hicks and Eddie Goldman, your D lineman is still top 3 in the league. You've got pretty good linebackers as well, and Raquan Smith and Trevathan. They're ranked outside the 50, inside and outside the 50s for the league. So nothing spectacular, but Trevathan was a pretty good pickup from the Broncos. And then Roquan Smith was a top pick a couple years ago as well. They've got Trufant on the outside, a decent too, but just look at this defense, how lethal it can be. If they can grab another safety, pair Jalen Johnson with another good corner potentially, add another, third to second linebacker, their defense is set. And there's always been set. That's the whole thing with the Bears. Their defense has always been good. So it's the offense that really needs to be changed, and it starts with that offensive line. That is what I think they need to do. And if they can fix that offensive line and get a good coach, those are the top 2 priorities for them. They will be a team to watch for in the NFC. That's number 3. Look out for Chicago in the next couple of years. I will promise you this. And my second team that will make the huge jump into contention in the NFL are the LA Chargers. Yes, the Chargers. And they're already doing well this year. So it's not like a huge prediction that they're going to be great in the next couple of years. Of course, they're going to be great. They've got Justin Herbert, the young stud, top overall pick in the draft last year or 2 years ago. They've got Austin Eckler, top 10 running back. Herbert, a top potentially 5 quarterback in this league, top 10 currently right now. They've got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Keenan Allen was ranked inside the top 30 for receivers this year. And their strength lies in their offensive line currently, especially on the left side. You've got Rashawn Slater, 19th. That's extremely good. They've got Feeler, 7th as their guard, and they've got one of the best centers in the league with Corey Linsley. Now, they've got huge question marks on their right side, which is where they need a little extra help. Laga didn't even play for them this year. Oboshi was not even that great at all, ranked outside the top 70. So they need to fix their right guard and right tackle. They've got an issue, especially for free agent wise, with Williams being a free agent, and he could command a decent amount of money. So it'll be interesting to see if they still want to keep Mike Williams and Keenan Allen together. Keenan Allen, them two are perfect because Keenan Allen is really good finding the zones and the spots inside the zone as a receiver, excellent catching ability. And Mike Williams is that 6'4", extremely tall dude on the outside. They're true X receiver, as they say, will go up and catch any ball. So honestly, them two together has been a really good addition. One thing that they potentially look for is another tight end. Cook has been decent, nothing spectacular. He's getting up there in age. I believe he's a free agent this year as well. A tight end could be something they look for, but they've got a ton of offensive pieces. Their biggest priority, once again, like the Bears, is offensive line, especially on the right side. But if we transition to their defense, this is where they could really use some upgrades. And they've got decent corners, and because they've got household names. Asante Samuel, 70th, nothing great. Chris Harris Jr., 34th, a great slot corner. Michael Davis, another name that's been thrown around this league as a decent corner, but they haven't had a great year this year, as you can see by their grades from Pro Football Focus. And the other issue is none of their D linemen except for Joey Bosa are in the top 60. And so they can't rush the quarterback. They're one of the worst teams against the run. And they've got nothing special in the linebacker position either. No names that you know of. As you can see, Kenneth Murray, nothing special. I'm pretty sure he was ranked outside the top 50 as well. And Drew Tranquill, another name many don't know about. But their strengths lie in their safeties. Derwin James, one of the top safeties in the league, especially in the AFC. And then you've got Nasir Adderley, ranked 44th, a good, strong safety as well for the Chargers. And so their biggest priority needs to be the defensive line and linebacker help, because those positions they are extremely weak in, and that is part of the reason why their defense hasn't been good this year. And what's interesting here is as well, Chris Harris Jr. is a free agent, but he's 34 years old. If I was the Chargers, I would hope to bring him back, especially if you can get a decent deal, maybe a 2-year deal, nothing super expensive. He might want to stay in LA. Who wouldn't? And then they've got Joseph, their D lineman, who's been okay. Linval Joseph, he's also a free agent. If you can bring him back, you've got Bosa and Joseph, which isn't a bad 1-2 punch, but the entire other side of the D line is extremely weak. They need to find another linebacker as well. And that's what the Chargers need to do. They've got an excellent offensive powerhouse, weak defense, which is the exact opposite of what the Bears are. Okay, that's my number 2 team. The Chargers, I say, will be one of the top teams in the NFL, along with, again, of course, the Chiefs, of course, potentially the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and them. I'm not even counting those two as teams that will be great because they already are. But the team that will be fantastic in the AFC and will be in Super Bowls in the coming years are the Bengals. And the Bengals are a team that's just loaded offensively. If you think the Chargers are loaded offensively, look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Offensively, Ja'Marr Chase, their first round pick, number 1 pick in the draft. He was ranked in the top 20 of receivers this year. He broke the record today for the most yards in a single season by a rookie for the Bengals. He had 266 yards catching today, over 11 receptions, 3 touchdowns, a fantastic year, a true number 1 receiver along with Joe Burrow. You've got T. Higgins on the outside as well, who's 6'2", 6'3", can grab any ball. Tyler Boyd, another good slot receiver, good speed. I mean, they have a plethora of receivers. Joe Mixon, a top running back, and injury concerns potentially in years past, but has been great this year. A true RB1. Now the concerns, this is what it was with the Bengals in the draft this year, because everyone thought they might go with Penei Sewell, a top lineman, or potentially Rashawn Slater before he dropped to the Chargers, but they went with Ja'Marr Chase for offensive purposes. But Joey Burrow has been sacked a ton this year, and their offensive line is one of the worst graded. They've got Jonah Williams, which is a good left tackle. Not sure how long he'll be there though. But you've got Jackson Carman, hasn't had a good year at left guard. Trey Hopkins, not really good, especially with the 34th ranked center position. And Riley Reith, who is a household name, but just has a down year, 51st. So both tackles haven't really been fantastic. And the one bright spot in this team was Quinton Spain. And Spain was a good right guard for them, was rated pretty highly in Pro Football Focus, but they've got an interesting scenario here because he's going to be a free agent. And with him being a free agent, he played 99 snaps for them. Again, he's 31 years old, so he's already a pretty good known player, but didn't have a high contract previously. And so they will have to pay him a pretty good amount to stay on that team. And they need him because he's been one of their best offensive linemen. But overall, their offensive line has not been good. And you can see here by these grades. Let's switch to offensive tight end. They got Uzama. He is also a free agent. He hasn't been bad. Top 30 in tight ends. Again, there's only 32 teams, but based on there's so many but good backups as well. It isn't horrible. He may be somebody worth keeping depending on the contract. He was decent, but again, they might not need a great tight end because you've got 3 extremely good receivers with Higgins, Chase, and Boyd. So I'm not too worried about that offensively. Defensively is where there's question marks. Let's take a look at the defensive grades. They've got a really good corner in Awuzie, who's ranked 9th this year. So they have a cornerback that's set for them. Trey Waynes on the other side is decent, but much older, might not be there for too much longer. We'll see what they do there. Potential question mark. Their big thing is Jesse Bates, a free agent, was only 70th, but has been known to be good in previous years. So I'm not sure what their plan is with him, but you can see here their weaknesses lie in the free safety linebacker position, 61st. Logan Wilson was decent at 42nd. And Von Bell, a really good strong safety. So they've got some good pieces in the back, but their edge and their D line was not very successful. They do have a really good player in Trey Hendrickson. He was 28th, a really good grade, played over almost close to 700 snaps this year. And they've got on the other side Sam Hubbard, who played over 800. He was only 60th in this year. In his third year, similarly with Trey Hendrickson, so they've got two young guys at the edge rusher position, so they may be fine in that regard. But in as far as DJ Reader, really good run stuffer, was ranked 8th. So they may like to keep him. But as far as some of the other guys, Ogunjobi, who is a free agent, was only 94th out of 130 positions. So he wasn't very good this year. And that's cause for concern. You had BJ Hill, but he played under 500 snaps, isn't on this list here. He was ranked decently at 30th out of 130, which was pretty good, but again, did not play a lot of snaps. So that takes into account his grade potentially, since he played half the snaps as other D lineman position here for the Bengals. But they have promise. I mean, DJ Reader's pretty good. He is under contract. You keep him, you keep Trey Hendrickson, you keep Sam Hubbard potentially. If you want to look for another D end, you can. But you had a really good strong safety in Von Bell, 20th. You have decent D linemen, and then you've got a top corner. So your defense is promising. Your offense is promising. Fix up a couple of positions here and there, and they have a chance. Their issue is a ton of free agents for this team. You've got Ogunjobi, who was ranked not very well, but was one of the starters for the D linemen. He will want a new contract. You've got Riley Reef, their right tackle. And so he was okay. Ranked 50th as the right tackle position, but he's old and expensive, over close to $8 million a year for his contract currently. So what they're going to do with that, I don't know. They have Jesse Bates, 70th overall as far as his grade, but he's going to be a free agent. So you're going to be down your free safety. You're going to be down Quentin Spain. Like I said, he's going to command a good amount of money. 32 years old, probably look for a 2, 3, 4-year contract. Eli Apple was actually their second most played receiver over Trey Waynes. And so he's going to be a free agent. Your tight end, Uzama, is going to be a free agent. I mean, the list goes on. So the Bengals have an issue in that regard, as their team is extremely talented on both sides of the ball. And you can ask, well, why the hell were the Bengals not as good this year? They're only 10-6. Why couldn't they make the run this year? And I will say, new coach, Zach Taylor, first year. Joe Burrow didn't even play last year with a torn ACL, has played pretty well this year. The only downside is he's thrown the most interceptions out of any quarterback in the league. But that's kind of their offensive mojo. They fling the football. They do a ton of pass plays down the field over 20 yards or more. And so that's just kind of their bread and butter. And if it gets intercepted, it gets intercepted. I guess that's kind of the philosophy Zach Taylor's taken. But the new head coach, he seemed very good. They beat the Chiefs today. Joe Burrow was the first overall pick 2 years ago. He's going to be extremely good, top quarterback in the AFC for years to come. And look at their offensive pieces and potentially their defensive pieces that they can get. This team is my favorite team to watch in 5 years. I expect a Super Bowl run coming up, especially when they don't have to pay Burrow for the next 2, 3, 4 years.